Hi guys, today we'll be talking about the laws of indices, and the first law we'll look at is what we call the product of numbers with same base law. So we have a raised to power x times a raised to power y. What this law gives us is a raised to power x plus y. And why is it so? This is because if we have a raised to power 3 times a raised to power 2, it is just like saying a raised to power 3 simply means a multiplied into three places, while a raised to power 2 is a multiplied into two places. So at the end of the day, we are going to get a raised to power 5. So, so the second law is called the division of numbers with same base law. What this law tells us is that if I have a raised to power x divided by a raised to power y, take note of it, same basis, though different in indices. I'm going to get a raised to power x minus y. So I can take a quick example to buttress that. If I'm given a raised to power 4 divided by a raised to power 2, that simply means that I have a into four places divided by a into two places. So looking at what I've got, I can simply divide this. Now I'm left with a raised to power 2. And looking at that, you will notice something that a raised to power 2 is actually gotten from a raised to power 4 minus 2. So that's the law explained. Then the third law we have is what we call the number with zero powers. What this law tells us is that if I am given any number at all, any number raised to the power of zero is simply 1. Any number raised to the power of zero is simply 1. Why did we say so? How did we come about that law? If I have a raised to power 3 divided by a raised to power 3, remember our division law says a raised to power 3 will be given as 3 minus 3, which is equals to a raised to power 0, right? So how did we know that it's supposed to give us 1? Very simple. So a times a times a all over a times a times a simply means this cancels, this the cancel out, this the cancel out, and I'm left with 1. So whatever base you raise to the power of 0, you must get 1 as your answer. Then the fourth law we would be looking at quickly is what we call the numbers with negative powers. Numbers with negative powers. What this law says is that if I am given a raised to power minus x, you see, I have a negative power. It simply gives me 1 over a raised to power x. So this is what we call the numbers with negative powers law. So let me take a quick example. Let's say I have 2 raised to power minus 3. This is going to give me 1 all over 2 raised to power 3, which is 1 over 2 raised to power 3 means multiply 2 3 times, and that's going to give me 8 because 2 times 2 is 4, 4 times 2 is 8. So that is the law. Then the fifth law I'm going to quickly looking at is what we call the number with double powers. The number with double powers. So if I have something like this, a raised to power x multiplied by y, as you can see, there's a we have two powers there. So this is going to give me a raised to power x y. So that's the double power. So this is very simple. So let's take a quick example. 2 raised to power 3 multiplied by 2 simply means that I'm going to have to multiply the two powers, and that's going to give me 2 raised to power 6, which is 64, because 2 raised to power 6 is 64. And remember that 8 raised to power 2 is also what? 64. Because why did I say so? 2 raised to power 3 here gives us 8. And if I take the square of 8, I also get what? 64. So that's that law explained. Then we'll quickly run through to the third law. The third law is what we call the numbers with fractional powers. Numbers with fractional powers. So if I have a raised to power x over y, did you notice that the power we have here is a fraction, x over y? What we do with this law is that we take the denominator of the fraction, we use it to look for the root of a. We use it to look for the root of a while the numerator remains as a power. What this means is that this is going to become the yth root of a raised to power x. This is what this law tells us. The yth root of a raised to power x. So I'm simply going to take an example. 8 raised to power 2 over 3. What is this going to give me? I'm going to take the third root of 8 and remain the 2, which is the numerator, as the power. So the third root of 8 is actually 2. What third root means is that what is that number for which when you multiply it 3 times gives you 8. So that's what we mean by the third root. So 2 is that number. So 2 times 2 times 2 gives us 8. Then once you've gotten the third root, you go back and place the power. So the 2 raised to power 2 gives us 4. So that's the example. Then the last law we are going to quickly look at is what we call the numbers with negative fractional powers. Numbers with negative fractional powers. You could be given a raised to power minus x over y. So notice I have a fraction as my power and also in negative sign. Remember, we already in law 4, the fourth law, we already said that when you have a negative power, it becomes a reciprocal of the base raised to that power. Then the negative sign goes off. So what this is going to mean is that I'm going to eliminate the negative sign and take the reciprocal of the base. So I have 1 over a raised to power x over y. Then also remember what we did in the sixth law, that the y, which is the denominator of the fraction, we take the root of it. So it becomes the yth root of a. Then we take the power. So sorry, I skipped the 1. I was supposed to write 1 over the yth root of a raised to power x. So this is the law. We can quickly take an example. The example we'll take is, let's say we have 27 raised to power minus 2 over 3. This is simply going to give me 1 over 27, but I'm going to have to take the third root of 27, and then I leave the power, the numerator, which is the square. So what does that give me? The third root of 27 is 3, and the square, so 1 over 3 square, that is simply 1 over 9. That is the answer.